Hello everybody and welcome back to Evospace. As always, I am Dor, and today we are going to go ahead and set up a couple of the new machines that are available to us in the aluminum era of the machinery here. So in between episodes, we built up a backlog of 2,700 blocks in each of these little container things. That's not really enough for us to do what we need to do, right? We're going to do a second layer and have it reach the entirety of the platform, and over here we're probably still going to go out a few more. I thought last episode we're probably only going to go out 10 blocks, but it kind of turned out to be like 50 or so blocks out. And the reason we did that is to go ahead and have the coal right on the border of the limit of the radius that it can reach for the coal thing here. So we can actually have more of these things down as we need them. I think we can squeeze another 4 or 5 in there. We're going to have the iron line and stuff probably end up hitting it, so we can't really do more than that. So 4 or 5 of these should be more than enough for what we need. And with this line, it's kind of balanced out in a way when it's fully running and eating up all the stuff. Right now, it's not really running at its peak because we have a backlog building up because we're not running through the power. But if we were running through the power as fast as we could right now, we would be running in a way that the coal wouldn't be on the line, really. It would barely reach these guys. Every now and again, it would reach these guys, but not frequently enough to have them running constantly. And we wouldn't have any coke left over. It would go to the furnaces here, and it wouldn't be going to the steel. Right now, the only reason we have any backlog right now is because we're not actually using all the power this thing's actually producing. So when we do get around to it, we're going to have to set down another line to go ahead and feed our steel line. But for right now, we have enough to go ahead and make steel, so we are good there. So let's go ahead and automate our aluminum just a smidge here. We're going to go ahead and put down a hammer just so it starts making plates. I didn't want to automatically place that down. That's my bad. Let's go ahead and place it there for right now. That should be fine. We're going to have it hammering and just going into a rack for right now so we can actually have some plates kind of backlogged for us, and we can go ahead and just run it like this, and it placed it down again. My bad. But real quick here, I don't know if anybody else is dealing with the crashes like I was early on in the series here, where I would just be able to play for like 5-10 minutes before the game kept crashing. But if you guys are, then I got around that by disabling something in the options called global illumination. It's just something that toggles on or off, and I guess it would help with the lighting in the world. I'm not too sure what it does, but that was what was causing my game to crash constantly. So disabling that, I've had the game run for a full day without crashing, so I don't know what that's about, but it disabling that fixed it. If you guys are having the same issue, in the error code that pops up when the game crashes, it says something about something about shaders. So disabling that fixed it for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and make these 3 machines here. We're also gonna need a pump jack, so I need to go grab some of our circuits because now those are available to us. I think last time we played, those were available in the steel era, but they're not available now, so that's fine. We can go ahead and make one of those guys. We also have the aluminum industrial separator. That's going to come in handy. We'll make one of those. We had the mixer available to us in the steel era, but we'll go ahead and make one of those as well. Did I trigger one of these guys? I did not. And so with those guys, we can also make a battery. We're going to make a couple batteries just so we build a backlog of electricity on our little platform thing we have set up right now. So that's all the new stuff that we are going to play with right now. So let me go ahead and get those things crafted up here, and we will be right back in 2 seconds here. So now what we can go ahead and do, now that we have the batteries, we can go ahead and cut the cable from our generator for 2 seconds here, and if we click on the cable here, it's not going to tell us anything because there's nothing going through the cable. So if we go ahead and put our batteries down like this, they should just go ahead and store the power and push the power out as well. So whatever it's not actually using is going to be stored in here. So we have a storage capacity of 300 kJs, and we're only using 4.9 kilowatts, and so this thing is going to be running constantly, so we will be storing power. We'll have a backlog here for the time being, since these are the only 3 machines actually using power, or those guys over there are using power too, never mind. So we have a couple things using power, but not a whole lot of things to kind of warrant more generators down currently. So what we're going to go ahead and do is take a look at some of the new machines here. So this guy's new. This was not in the last time we played, and right now, honestly, I don't think it has much of a use because all it does is kind of have a chance at doubling or tripling your ore output. So all we do is take some of the ore gravel that we are producing. So we should have some in this guy here. If we take that guy out, actually let's take the finished stuff out. Let's put the dirty stuff back in. And if we go ahead and actually move remove this guy. We don't need it there. We can go ahead and put it over here for right now. And what number did I have it on? 0. So we can do this. And if we take a look at the machine, we can see that it has a kinetic input. So we can go ahead and plop this here for right now. And something that you do start getting, I think you get them in the original era here. Maybe not. Maybe in the steel era is when you get them. Yeah, steel era, you get steel electric engines. And so we're going to go ahead and take one of the aluminum electric engines because these come in handy, right? You can use the electricity you're producing to go ahead and give you kinetic. All of these things do have like a loss percentage and stuff. I don't know how to factor all that stuff in. It's probably more efficient to use the heat stuff for Stirling engines versus the electricity for the electric engines. I honestly don't know, but we're going to go ahead and just use that so that we can see this thing running. And we can go ahead and take the ore gravel that is washed. We can go ahead and put it in here. This is going to go ahead and wash it, and there's a chance that we get one of the byproducts here, which we didn't get there. We didn't get on the first try here. Second try, third try, we didn't get either of those. So I'm just going to go ahead and run a bunch of gravel through until we get some of the byproducts here. So let me go ahead and do that really quick. So I went ahead and put through 12 ore gravel. It ate 2 of them, so we only have 10 of them left, so we can process this through to make aluminum ingots right now. We also only got 1 of the rutile crystal things, so we didn't get the third item thing. I don't know what that's called. We can just see it in this thing. It is the emeralds. But if we take a look at the recipes on this, we only have an 80% chance of receiving the ore that we can process through to go ahead and make ingots, and then it gets lower and lower. So we only had a 20% chance to get one of the crystals, and we only have a 2% chance to get the emeralds. So it's not a guarantee you get your stuff back. It did consume some of my stuff. So for right now, the way the nodes are set up, I don't really see a point in running this machine. We do get those crystals that give us 2 of the oxide dust, but we can also get that dust right now like we are currently getting it from our wash plant. We have a 10% chance of getting it, and now that we have the industrial separator, we can go ahead and shove the ore dust through it and get another 10% chance of getting it again. So we can have the wash plant go into the macerator like we have right now, and then the stuff that comes out of the macerator can then go through one of the separators, and that also kind of gives us back that 20% kind of ish, I guess, if you want to do it that way, chance of getting the crystals, basically, because you have a 20% chance of getting the crystal. And so we're kind of getting 2 with that setup versus the shaky thing that we have down right now. We can also get it from the basalt, but we have to actually manually mine that stuff. We can't set up a mining unit to go ahead and auto make that stuff, because if we could, that would kind of break the game, I guess, in a way, because you can just farm up a bunch of oxide. So the next machine up here is the pump jack. We're going to go ahead and pump out oil with this, and we can also pump up the mineral water, which is also used for breaking down into something else. I forget off the top of my head here. But with this guy, we can go ahead and pump it into a pyrolysis unit. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it is the thing we need to go ahead and process oil with. So if we take a look at the recipes here, we need to heat it from the bottom. There was a little red dot there. I spaced on that. But if we take a look at the recipes, right, we can process coal through it and make coke, and we can make oil, and we can produce gas with it. It's a really small amount though. It's only 0.1. But if we go with the oil route, right, it's going to produce 3 types of fluids for us. So it's going to produce heavy oils, gasoline, and methane. So in order to get these things out of this machine, right, there's no other inputs or outputs on this thing. We can't arm stuff out of here. So we would need to use pumps, and we would need to use the filtered variant of the pumps, because you don't want all 3 of those liquids going through the same pipe here. So what we can go ahead and do with our pumps here, right, that's a normal pump. We can just go ahead and arm this stuff in. This shouldn't be outputting anything because we don't have any power connected to the pump jack, so we should be fine here. And then we can go ahead and have that go into the thing. That's going to go ahead and pump oil into this. And then what we needed to go ahead and do to go ahead and get stuff out of this is just go ahead and have these pumps connected anywhere that would allow us to go ahead and pump stuff out. So that should work, right? And then go into the thing and we can fix our filters. So we have heavy oil coming out of this thing. If I could find the heavy oil, we have gasoline coming out of this thing, and we have methane, I think it was. And then we can have those things going out into tanks or into the fluid furnaces that would process those things out into power for us, or we can just stockpile it, because I think one of these goes into a different recipe. But anyways, on to the next machine here is one of the new guys as well. This guy is a filtering unit, so this guy is going to go ahead and take our ore water, I believe it was, and process it back into the usable ore stuff so we can actually smelt it down into ingots. So right now we don't have any of these guys, and what do we need for those? We need to go ahead and make these in an assembler, which we don't currently have down, or we do have some down, but they're making stuff already, so we're not going to go ahead and do that. But for right now, we can go ahead and just set this guy, right? So it's making some clay for us. And we can just go ahead and put a normal pump on the back of this, go ahead and put one of those pipes there. And right now we can go ahead and disable this so that it is going into this machine and making clay clay for us. We don't really need the clay, it's just for the time being here. And all we need to go ahead and do is connect in some power for this thing. So we'll go ahead and plop our electric engine back down. We can also go ahead and just do this so that we have a secondary electrical input on this guy, and that should go ahead and power this unit up. And we're just going to go ahead and start making some clay here instead of auto destroying the ore water that this thing is producing. That's the other new machine. I think that's the only new. Oh, this guy might be new as well, actually. I don't remember this guy being a thing, and it has the same design as that guy, so yeah, it's probably going to be a new one, right? And this guy produces gold and rare earth and cobalt, so I believe cobalt's going to be important for hard metal, I think is what that goes into. If I could be, there we go, hard metal, yep. And so this has recipes that we can't actually do right now. We have mercury, which I'm not sure how we even get that stuff. We need to go ahead and chemical reactor the cinnabar dust, which the only way to get cinnabar dust appears to be these guys, which the only way to get those guys is to go ahead and do the sifter stuff that I said I wasn't going to do because there was no point to it. Okay, I guess there is a point to it. So we do need to go ahead and put our iron stuff through it to get the cinnabar stuff, to get mercury. And then we need the mercury to go ahead and make these guys to make gold. So I guess we don't actually need it. Never mind, because gold's not really all that important, I don't think. We have a way of getting gold with our copper setup right now is the wash plants. So we don't really need that either. So we'll leave that be. These guys, the important one, it's probably going to be cobalt because that's going to come in handy to make hard metal unless there's other ways of making it. Rare earth stuff. We need rare earth for the circuitry. So that's another recipe that's going to come in handy. We might actually need to set those guys up, but that's the other new machine. And then the old ones are these guys. So the industrial separator here is just going to go ahead and process things through a little bit more efficiently, I think, than the little ones that we have down right now, the little normal like trash can looking size separator things that we have. So we're going to add these into our lines when we get around to swapping out our stuff to the aluminum era stuff. But for right now, we still have it still making a bunch of plates, so we're not going to swap anything out anytime soon. And then we can go ahead and plop down this guy. This is the chemical reactor. This is going to go ahead and process our mineral water when we go ahead and get that up and running if we need to, and it makes a bunch more recipes. So we need the tungsten, I believe, for hard metal, I think, or titanium, one or the other, I don't remember. We can take our heavy oil and our water and mix them together to get sulfur, and I believe that goes into this guy, sulfuric acid, and that's that line pretty much set up. We're going to need these guys eventually for the circuits, I believe, and a bunch more of these things go to other things, but for right now we don't need this line set up all that much because we need, I think, chromium for stainless steel, which we do. Yeah, this is going to be important here eventually. And then if we jump on over to the mixer, right, we're going to set this thing up right now because we kind of do need this because there's a couple blocks we didn't actually set up. These are like the basic blocks that we can actually get going here that are relatively cheap to do. But if we go ahead and plop this guy here right now, right, we can go ahead and pick our recipe, and we're going to go ahead and pick this guy because this is just stone and water, and we're going to get concrete out of it. So we'll go ahead and set it, and then what we'll go ahead and do is connect in our electric motor, which I didn't bring with me, my bad. We can go ahead and plop the chest here, and we don't have any more chests on us. Let me grab those things. So that's that pretty much squared away. We need to go ahead and connect this machine into our water line here. So that's pretty simple. We can go ahead and just do that from this guy here. Let me have this thing pointing downward, and we can connect into that line there. That should be our water line. And something that's new that is very nice is the pathfinding option when you're placing things down. So if we just hold shift, we can go ahead and just have it automatically come toward us, and I kind of want it to not do that, so we need it to go here, I believe, because it's making it all wonky. And let's go ahead and take out that guy so it's not connected in, because we still have a backlog of wood. It's kind of processing through pretty slowly here, so we can go ahead and just connect this guy in. That's going to give us the water we need, and we should start seeing some concrete being made. Cool. So now that that's running, we're going to go ahead and make some stuff with steel real quick, right? We don't really need any more steel to make any more machines. We're not going to go ahead and make any more steel machines. We're going to start shifting things over to aluminum, but we can go ahead and take what we have right now. We don't need that much. Never mind. Let me take a little bit of that, please. Can I take a little bit of you? There we go. And we can go ahead and make these things, right? This is more or less just for the sake of visual appearances here. We're not going to really do too much here, but we're going to take a stack of these guys and a stack of those guys. Let's make a couple more stacks of these. And while that stuff processes through, we're going to be right back here. I'm going to let that stuff make, and then we can go ahead and start placing some stuff down here. So with these blocks here, we're going to go ahead and head 5 in from the corner here. So that should be that. And then we're going to go up 10 blocks here. And then on the 10th block here, we're going to go ahead and have these little corner pieces down, and that should be that side, and that should be that side. And then on the top here, we're going to have the beam go the other way. So if I could get it to do that, and that's going to go ahead and go all the way across our base here. So we can just go ahead and plop that there. That should be fine. And then if we go back up here, we can go ahead and see that. So we're going to have multiples of these beams going down the center here to act like supports. Again, there's no point in doing this. It's just for visual effects, I guess. We don't really want just a platform floating above this platform, so it's kind of going to help a little bit. And the reason we're going ahead and doing that is so that we can go ahead and run our heat pipes, our water, and other various liquid pipes, and then our electrical cables through the bottom here. We're also going to go ahead and have our flywheel line set up again. Last season we tried this, and the flywheels were not optimized, I guess. They were really just harsh on the frame rate, so if we had a lot of these down, we got really bad frame rates. But right now they kind of seem to be working. I have like 5,000 down in a creative world, all being fed power and all being drained, so they're constantly spinning and running, and I've not had any FPS issues. So we're gonna go ahead and give this another whirl here. Again, I don't have any machines down in that creative world, so maybe that's gonna come into play, but we will see when we go ahead and get to that. So we're gonna have this thing running through the entirety of the base here. We're going to go ahead and finish off that side of the platform. We're probably going to have to pull this side out a little bit because we can't actually hit this oil node. We have to put it in the dirt there, or we have to put it on top of the pipes here to go ahead and actually hit that node. So we're probably going to pull this side out another 10 or so just so we can actually hit it, which I kind of don't want to do because I don't want to go into the water there. So kind of depending on where our base ends, which I think is over here. I don't know if it goes out that far, but we might actually just connect into that oil node over there. I'm going to fly over there and see. Yeah, we might actually just connect to this node because we're right above it right now. So if we plop that there, we should be connected into it, which we are. So yeah, we'll end up using this node instead of the other one over there, so we don't have to move that piece of the base out any further. So the base should end here, and we're just going to go ahead and drag it all the way around and connect into that, so we have one big square platform again. And then we'll go ahead and start work on the second platform here in a second here. But now that we have the concrete ready to go, we can go ahead and take a little bit of that, and we can go ahead and craft up some of these guys. So I want to go ahead and use these guys to be a little indicator for ourselves here. Let's make 15 of those. We should be fine with that. And with these guys, we're going to go ahead and have holes in the platform above us, right? So we can have little access ports to go from the top back down to the bottom. Instead of having staircases, since we have jetpacks, we can just go ahead and have these guys kind of be the border of the hole here. So if we go ahead and have like a little 2x2 hole right here on the floor, we can go ahead and just have it marked out with this guy, and that way we can go ahead and just kind of see it at a glance, or I guess know where the holes are. It's going to be a hole in the platform, not like we can miss it, but this is just for the sake of having something there. And if we go ahead and do that, if I could actually aim, we might need to make this thing bigger, and there we go. So this is going to be raised up one more because we're going to have the floor on the beam here going across. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and have that stuff start being made, and we're probably going to go ahead and have a mixture of just the stone bricks and the stuff that we have being made right now. We're not going to go ahead and make the roading and all that stuff before we start work on the platform because that's going to take even longer. We're just going to go ahead and place down the bricks and stuff, and that'll be the platform for right now. And then as we start getting the reinforced concrete and stuff, we can go ahead and start swapping out little areas of the platform above so we can walk a little faster when we're getting around up there. But for right now, let's go ahead and make the new jetpack that we have available to us, right? We don't get another one until we get into, I think, hard metal maybe, or titanium. I'm not too sure on that, but we can go ahead and make the aluminum one right now, and that's going to go ahead and process through. And while that's doing that, we can go ahead and lay down a little bit of the brickage before we go ahead and wrap up. Today's been a little bit of a weird episode. My apologies. It's just that I'm kind of waiting for the bricks to finish up so we can actually finish off the bottom platform before we began the top one here, but it looks like we're going to begin the top one regardless. So these are the bricks. These shouldn't give us any speed boost, I don't think, to be walking around. I don't even know if that's even still a thing, to be honest, because I haven't tried that, but we'll go ahead and have these guys be this, and then I don't know what we'll use the pink and the purple blocks for, to be honest. I don't really build all that much, so using those might not come in handy at all. We might not even use them at all, but that should go ahead and be the top little corner of this little area here. So let's go ahead and fill it in all the way. We have a lot of the blocks here, so we might actually finish off the top platform before we finish off the bottom one because the sand is kind of being used used up for the circuitry and stuff like that, so we might not have that done just yet. I guess what we can go ahead and do right now is actually have the pink and purple stuff as our pathways so that we know not to place machines down on there, and then we can have these kind of just alternating, right? We can have like a 2 wide little walkway and then have the pink stuff on the border, and then have the normal clear bricks, as the building area, so that we know to have the machines there, and then the walkways in the colored area. So that's probably what we'll end up doing and utilizing all the 3 bricks that we are producing. And the only reason I think we're making the concrete right now is for these guys, the danger blocks. We do need that stuff to go ahead and make the other variants of the concrete blocks, and we are going to need it, I think, for the reinforced concrete when we get around to making that stuff, if we do at all. But our jetpack is ready to go here. So right now we're making it up here with maybe like 3 or 4 blocks to spare if we jump and do it. So if we use this one, we can actually hover. So I didn't realize that. We can actually hover with this guy. So that's going to come in handy building out the platform here, since we're going to need to go ahead and run cabling and all that jazz underneath here, which we can kind of reach anyways. We don't really need the jetpack for that. But using this aluminum one is going to come in handy here, since we can actually float, and it kind of lets us go ahead and do things that we couldn't really do with the other one because it's just a jump boosting backpack there. So before we actually wrap up today, let's go ahead and run a little bit more of the platform here. We have 900 blocks in our inventory, so let's just go ahead and lay down as much as we can here. We have another 20 something hundred in the storage rack, so we should have enough to get a good chunk of the platform done. So let's go ahead and plop this guy here. Let's go ahead and plop it. It's 107, and we already had a few blocks down, so it's only probably like 125, 130 long of a platform. And we'll go ahead and just do another layer back, and then we'll go ahead and lay down a couple more of the steel girder thingy mabobber things. So with these guys, we're going to go ahead and just run this one all the way down. I don't know if we have enough of these guys in our inventory right now, to be honest. So this is just going to go as far as we can. We have 91 of them, so let's not go all the way down. Let's go to here, maybe to 40. And then what I'll go ahead and do is I'll measure out the platform again, right? So this should be the corner of it. We're not going to place these blocks down, so we'll just go ahead and see how long of the platform actually is. So it's 117 blocks long, and right now, if we were to go ahead and go 5 in from the corner like we did over there, we're not actually able to place down the little beam thing, because I'm not going to move our little coal factory just to go ahead and put a beam in. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to do that. So for right now, we'll go ahead and leave that be. But over here, we're going to have a spacing. I'm not quite sure how big of a spacing just yet, but we're going to have spaces in between the beams right here. So we have vertical beams going down to act like a little support thingy going on. And then we're going to have that going all the way across as well. And then kind of, I don't know how many of these are going to actually be down, but it's kind of just going to add a little bit of not floatiness, I guess, to the base here. So for right now, that's going to go ahead and be it for today's episode. We didn't really do all that much, but we did take a look at some new machines. And next episode, we'll go ahead and lay out a bit more of the platform here and start shifting our machines from down there to up here. And hopefully I'll go ahead and have enough of the aluminum ready to go so we can actually swap out the machines as we're doing that, instead of redoing the steel stuff back down. So we'll have things running a little more efficiently. But for right now, that's going to go ahead and be it for today's episode. So hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.